Michigan and Hunter Dickinson. Michigan, look, for lack of a better word, this Michigan team is in shambles.
I still haven't seen the clip yet. I haven't seen the clip yet.
Matt, you pull. I think we sent it to you. If not, I'll copy paste it and I'll text it to you right now. So we'll go to RC because I believe he's seen the clip here. But look, first of all, let's just start with the clip. Ohio runs one of the wildest sequences we've ever seen. I don't know that you could say they drew this up. I highly doubt they drew that up, but they throw the full court pass. It bounces off the backboard. Player misses a bunny to essentially send the game to overtime. They get a putback, though, at the buzzer. Michigan does win in overtime, but, I mean, man, this is now the second time that Michigan survives in the early season against a MAC opponent with Eastern Michigan and with Ohio. There's a not too distant world, RC, that this Michigan team is sitting here with 3 losses when you add the Arizona State blowout at this point in the season. So I don't know how much you watched of that. Hopefully not much, because there was much better basketball going on. But from what you can glean with this team, is this team going to get it right soon, or is this going to be this version of Michigan this season?
Again, now, we talked about having it. Let's be honest. I mean, Hunter Dickinson's a dude now. He's capable of as you figure things out. I think that's what these guys allow you time to do is figure out, all right, let's establish you as we figure out the rest of our team. I think Michigan's doing that. Like, this team lost a lot. And again, we're 5 games into the season. It's hard to be critical of someone or teams that when you're throwing a bunch of guys out there, when you're losing 3 or 4 guys and you're implementing these transfers and you're trying to establish roles and figure that out, it's no different than what we were talking about with Illinois. I mean, there's talent there. They'll be right there in the thick of things. I think they'll go as far as their guard play. As I said, I think their guard play has to step up and be consistent. I'm a huge fan of Jalen Llewellyn and again, a huge fan of Hunter Dickinson, but their perimeter shooting and their guard play, it will dictate how far this Michigan team goes.
Have you seen the clip yet, Matt? Did we get the clip to you yet?
I saw. I can't believe it went off the backboard.
I've never seen anything like it.
I've never seen anything like that. But I'll say this, to have that happen at the end of the game and the game go into overtime and you find it, because what happens in those types of situations? You respond, right? In those types of situations, you could be completely dejected. You're lifeless going into the timeout. You can't believe that just happened. How we're going to lose this game. They responded the right way and found a way to win. So you got a credit on that. Yes. But I've never seen anything like that before.
With all the pressure on them. I mean, everybody's expecting. They're the nationally ranked team. I mean, all the pressure's on Michigan to win this game, and give them credit. And you need wins like this. You want it because you need to be in these late game situations that's going to force your guys to grow, and then they'll figure it out. They'll define roles in that, because you'll know you can't hide from who wants the ball, who doesn't, who executes in those moments, and who don't. And that's what staffs are learning. That's what players are learning and playing with each other. And when you have guys that have done it, like tonight, Hunter stepped up and carried them when they needed it done. But again, it's an adjustment with so many new guys around you. And how do you play? And that's what they're figuring out. But again, it's tough playing these non-conference games early, because teams get older quick. They're spreading you out. They're moving you. When they get in the conference, it's just a level of familiarity that people have. And I'm pretty sure that team, when Michigan gets in the conference play, they'll be right there with Indiana and Illinois and the rest of Michigan State and everybody else.
And actually, I think you bring up a good point too. Like, and I don't know if we got time to get into this in terms of like the MTEs and the battle for Atlantis and Maui and all this.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you have a young team and you get into these games, one of two things can happen, and it kind of can dictate your season going forward. You can build some confidence and it can kind of catapult you, or you can lose it and not make the tournament, finish below 500, because you may lose a close game here, and then that turns into another loss, and then it's interesting to see how these things play out. Now I don't think that's going to be the case with the UCLA who goes out to Vegas and goes 0-2. I don't think that, but it's interesting when you see ranked teams go into these MTEs and they lose close games, and then that loss turns into another loss, man, they can lose confidence fast, and your season can turn. That's why these these November tournaments, they matter, no question.
Yeah, I think that is honestly something I feel like I'm, as a viewer and a fan, right? I feel like I'm picking up on that a little bit from this Michigan team. They look to me like a team that, at least in the guard spot particularly, felt very indecisive and very trying to not make a mistake tonight. And look, they got ran out of the gym against Arizona State the last time that they were on a court together. And that's not a particularly great Arizona State team, but that's a team that, I mean, they came out and played hard and just sort of punked them. And I think it was a wake-up call, but we're going on in 5 games in this young season. We're going on 5 quote-unquote wake-up calls now when you have whatever the Imani Bates game was, followed by a blowout loss to Arizona State, followed by, you know, what you would hope would be an inspired performance against this Ohio team off the heels of that Arizona State game. And to me, it's 2 things with this Michigan team. One is on the defensive side of the ball. They are not really guarding anybody. And I don't know where they're at on the advanced metrics, the Ken Pom ranks right now. I don't think it's updated since after this game. But
I'll say dropping. This about the Ken Pom rankings right now. I think you throw all that crap, and Matt, you can attest to this as well. You throw that crap out of the window. And the reason I say none of that, you know, I'm not saying this about Ken Pom, but in general, you throw the analytics out right now because so much of the analytics is dictated off the schedule you play. So if you hadn't played anybody, you know, and you're blowing teams out by 25, we're the 5th ranked defensive team in the country. Well, I've beaten the 13th grade. So what is that supposed to do? Oh, we're really good. It sounds good. And then you go off and you play somebody and you get your head beaten. That's just why Kentucky's playing these games. That's why Gonzaga's playing these games. Gonzaga has to do it because they know when they get in the conference, they're not going to be really challenged and stuff. So some of these other teams like Michigan are saying, hey, let's play some of these other schools because when we get into our conference play, we got enough nationally ranked opponents to play. So everybody kind of does it differently, but I wouldn't – that stuff will sort itself out early on. And then because it's a double-edged sword. You don't want to play too many Power 5 schools, but when you start playing these mid-major schools, they're spreading you out. They're doing things that just not the style of play that you're accustomed to in your league. So it's a catch-22, you know, either way. But I wouldn't buy too much into the analytics right now because unless you're telling me what the analytics are going to say about the team that wins Maui. Because you go through that field, you're going to have to play somebody. We know Virginia was guarding. Any of us surprised that Virginia defended well and they won? Like, duh. They're going to be top 10 in the country. Like check, you know, on to the next. So I think it's got to be context, and those are the things that teams got to figure out. Because another thing I think teams are trying to do is teams are playing guys on their bench right now, trying to develop it. Because as the season goes on, they're going to start shortening these benches. People are trying to play 10 guys. And all of a sudden, you're going to see teams shortening that rotation. So some of these guys, if you don't pick it up on a defensive end, you're going to find yourself out of the rotation and not playing come conference play, come January, come February. So teams are playing guys. Like Michigan is another team. They didn't get much production from their bench tonight. I mean, they got less than 10 points. Like, who's going to step up and give them something from the bench? So I think that's a lot of what a lot of teams are trying to figure out as well. That's part of this, you know, the pieces to the puzzle that teams are adjusting to now.
Used to call it gathering data.
Yeah.
Right? We're gathering data. Coach, why am I not playing? Because I got data now. Right? I got data. You got 3 assists and 14 turnovers. Right. That's why. Right. You're shooting 26% from the field. That's why. Your plus minus is minus 20 through 8 games.
Right.
Well, what do you mean that's what is plus minus? Yeah. When you're in the game, we're not winning.
Come sit next to me and let me explain it to you why the game's going on.
Let me explain to you plus minus. Now, plus minus right now, it doesn't really matter because we don't have enough data, right? Yeah. We've only played 3 games, like you're saying, RC. But, man, we get 8th, 9th game right before we're starting to get into conference play, and your plus minus is minus 32. You can come sit right over here.
Hey, come talk to me. That means the team is better when you're sitting over here by me. That's what it means.
That's exactly right. That's what it means.
Sadly, I think to bring it full circle on the Michigan side of this, I think there's a lot of guys that Juwan and Coach Howard's staff might be having those conversations with right now of, hey, here's why you're not going to play more in the future. He needs a couple of them that he can point to and say, oh, you earned something here, but we'll see.
But every coach is going to have those conversations, though.
Yeah, you're right.